Hi, and welcome to the Bookkeepers Podcast. I'm Zoe Whitman. I'm here with Jo Wood.
Hi.
And if you're watching the video, we're joining you from a bit of a different angle because we are staying in our hotel. We've been at the Accounting Excellence Awards, which was an amazing evening last night. And we thought we would jump in, give you a bit of a recap. We want to celebrate the community that we know who've been involved in those awards. And we know that putting yourself out there is a big deal. And talk to you a little bit about, if you're entering awards yourself, what to think about.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's really apparent, isn't it, when you so Zoe and I were lucky enough to be judges at these awards, and actually we've judged quite a few awards this year, so we thought it'd be a really good idea to let you know what we think makes a great award entry, because we get asked it quite a lot, so we thought we'd share it with you guys today.
I think it's also a massive mindset shift. So I was talking to people last night about, and someone said, "Oh, have you entered these awards?" And we were just talking about it feels like something you have to have been in practice for a while to do, and things like that. And you're like, "Oh, I'm kind of not qualified yet to enter." And that so isn't true, because there are categories if you're a new firm, or for various different things that you're doing in your business that are totally doable, even if you're a new firm.
Yeah. And we really noticed last night, one of the biggest things we noticed was a shift. So Zoe and I have been going to these awards since 2021. And when we first went, we realised it was very, very much an accountancy, big, large, top four feel, wasn't it? It was like a sea of dinner jackets. And we was like, oh, is this really for us? Should we be here? These awards feel like out of our reach, those kind of things. And then we started doing the bookkeeping show with Accounting Web, and then we mentioned to them there wasn't a bookkeeping category for an award, and they now have Bookkeeping Team of the Year. But what was really interesting last night was, over the years we've seen obviously bookkeepers go in for the awards, but last night the bookkeepers in our community we saw were up for different awards, not just Bookkeeping Team of the Year, because I felt like there's been a opening up to you belong here. And that mindset shift you're talking about, that we can all apply for these awards.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I was talking, so we were judging the award. We were judged a couple of the categories. So you were judging Bookkeeping Team of the Year.
Yeah.
I judged the Marketing Campaign of the Year. And something that really came up for me in reflection, in conversations last night with, we were talking to the guys from Uki.
Yes.
Who were up for an award as well. And I was talking about Marketing Campaign. And reading those entries, and maybe this is something that we'll feed back to Accounting Web, but something that really sort of struck me as I was going through those entries is the larger firms, because the awards are for everyone from sole practitioner, there's actually a sole practitioner category, up to international firm of the year, or international audit firm, or something, so
big,
massive firms. And what you find, obviously, as your business grows, or if you've worked for one of those larger practices, there's a dedicated marketing team. Now, if it's just you, and we know, our community, people who work with us are usually sort of between the 1 to 5 team members, you probably don't have a marketing team. The marketing team is probably you, which is why we talk about personal brands so much. But you don't have a dedicated person whose job it is to go and find out which categories you need to apply for, or to put together a marketing campaign that you can then enter an award for. So when you're reading those entries, you really clearly see the larger businesses that have budget to put behind a campaign. And we're not all trained marketers here, so that's already puts us at a disadvantage. They've got people in their team whose job is to do that, whereas the sole practitioner maybe didn't have haven't really thought through, what's my marketing campaign going to be so I can enter this award. So I think maybe there's a way that Accounting Web and anyone who's running awards can actually separate, because you get different levels of practice, awards for different levels of practice. Maybe there's something about the size of the firm and the work they're able to do in the marketing space, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think eventually there was lots of different categories for mid-tier firm below 3 million, mid-tier firm above 3 million. So I'm doing the voice of the Strictly Come Dancing man, because he was doing the awards last night. And I think at some point that's why they have sole practitioner, which is for bookkeepers and accountants, like anyone that's running a practice to go into. But I can see that over time there'd be bookkeeping team of the year, and it might be different sizes there as well, because that you can see that there are some that have got big teams and some that are smaller. So it's really interesting. It's a fun for us to be a part of, especially when we had so many of our members in the room last night as finalists. We felt really like proud, and like so proud of them for going through that process, and to become a finalist is massive, regardless of if they won or not. It's a massive deal. So but it's also a great thing to do on your journey. We find that even if going for an award is a really great point to like stop where you're at, reflect, write it all out. And yes, it's great if you get to be a finalist, but even in that process itself is really great for you and for your mindset, because it helps you build confidence and recognize. We talk to people all the time, and they've achieved something and they don't stop and recognize what they've done. They're like, what's next? What do I need to do next? Rather than going, wow, I've actually achieved that. And sometimes, and this is why we love doing like vision boards and things, because sometimes when you see what you've stuck down 2-3 years ago on a piece of paper, and you're like, oh, I've achieved that, you realize there was a point in time where you wanted the life you've got now, and we don't reflect on that enough.
Yeah, I was talking to Uki actually last night, and we were talking about the work that goes into putting in an awards entry. And if you are someone who's applied for an award this year or lately, go back, like keep the answers to your questions, because when you come around to do like enter the next set of award, there's like economies of scale here. You've already done some of that work, so next time it's not going to be so difficult to remember, oh god, what did I do? Who did I help? Why am I great, and why should I win this award? So you've already done some of that work, but also you can build on, oh my gosh, in the last 12 months though, on top of that, I've been able to do this. So like if you've got, I feel like we could all be building up a document over time which says like, these are the great things about me.
Yeah, maybe it's part of our process to kind of recognize those things. And we try and do that in the Success Lounge. We're always like, what are the wins that you celebrate? And people sit there thinking, I don't have anything. And then when they really think about it, oh, that happened, that's a win. I think we just, I don't know, it's maybe part of schooling and how we were brought up. We don't get time, and we don't get stopped often enough to say, stop, reflect, what's been good. Because we either focus on the bad or we focus on what's next. So interesting.
So the awards last night, we're in London. They were at the Roundhouse. It was very glitzy. It is the glitzy awards event of the year. And we had a really nice chat with Joe Birtwistle, who's the editor-in-chief at Accounting Web, and we met up with Richard Hattersley and some of the other members of the team, and had a really nice chat with them. It's like a big dinner, like you arrive, there's have a red carpet outside, everyone's having their photos. It's a thing you really dress up for. All the guys were wearing like velvet jackets. That's the style.
There was lots of velvet going on. Yeah.
So we had drinks, went in, you were all sort of on tables. We were really fortunate to be hosted by Iris, which was very kind of them to invite us to join their tables. So we were sat very close to the front, actually, I found.
We had very, very good seats this year, didn't we? The food was lovely. And then, like I say, there was like the host of the evenings, the guy who does the Strictly Come Dancing. We didn't see him. He's obviously in microphone somewhere. And then Rob Beckett, the comedian, he hosted the awards. But before he did like a comedy set beforehand, and he was so funny. I've got sore cheekbones from laughing so much. It was really, really good fun.
Did you feel like he had a really tough crowd though?
Oh my god, they were tough. They were tough. I mean, we were loving it, but everyone was, it's a big room, isn't it? It's like you said, it feels like the Roundhouse is like you're inside a gas cylinder, like one of those big, massive gas cylinders. And it's a big space and a very echoey space. But yeah, he had a tough crowd. I mean, he did pick on that young guy. I don't know how young he was. I couldn't see his face, but at the front, who was telling him how he was a QuickBooks champion.
Oh yeah.
And how he loved QuickBooks, and he was like, like he was trying to do a comedy piece. It was really funny. It was like, oh, you picked the wrong guy to talk to. We're trying to look like we're cool, but it didn't come across cool.
It was really funny. so while we were there, so there's like a meal, then there's the awards, and then afterwards they have a party and a DJ and that kind of thing. And there was a bit of a dance off at one point. But we had a really, like, you have lots of opportunities to have chats. So Joe and I always find it really hard to cross the room because you just bump into people and they're like, oh my gosh, hi, have a chat with you. So we got to speak to our contacts at Xero. We had some really good chats with Xero, didn't we?
Kate, the new country manager, she's lovely. We spoke with her and the rest of the Xero team. We also spoke with AAT, ICB were there. I felt like we just bumped into them bits and pieces. We did. It was very much lots of passing through lots of busy tables and chairs. Oh, there was silent auction.
Oh yeah, wasn't there?
Big silent auction. We looked at it and
there were lots of things we would have liked to buy, but we didn't buy them.
Oasis tickets for $4,500. For 2 tickets. It's a lot of money, but no, we had loads of great chats. Chris Downing and Tim from Sage. And it was really nice to catch up with Iris as well, because we were sitting on their table and they were sponsoring Bookkeeping Team of the Year award, and hence why they'd asked us to sit at the table, and was talking to them about how Centre stopped and now they're bringing in Iris Elements, and they said that they are nearly at the point to bring Centre people onto Iris Elements. I was like,
great.
I was like, it has been 3 years.
We had a good old
chat about that, and I think they'll be ready to support the community more in the future, which is good.
And then we met loads of bookkeepers. Do you know what? Obviously there were lots of our community who were up for awards we'll tell you about, but something I really loved was, going to these events is not cheap.
No.
Like, there have been times where, I think in terms of hotel accommodation, you're paying to stay in London, you're paying to travel from wherever you are in the world. Like Karen Kennedy came from Scotland to come to the awards. People have come from all over the place, even just to get the 2 of us into London and then into a hotel. And then if you think about paying for, if you've paid for your seat at a table to attend the awards, like, you could go on holiday for that kind of money. So I think you've really got to think about, how does this fit
dress
and the dress,
more importantly, and the dress and the nails
and
the
blow
hair
dry.
and the blow dry, all of that stuff. It adds up, but it's an investment.
It is an investment, and I think that's one of it's really important to see it as an investment. If you're shortlisted for an award, really think about, because there were a couple of people who got awards last night who weren't there, and I felt really sad. I felt sad for them that they didn't get to be part of that moment. It felt a bit flat to watch. They're not here, but that's a sort of selfish reflection on it. But I just feel like to not be able to enjoy that moment and celebrate it is something,
and utilize it as an amazing marketing opportunity.
The photos of you on stage with your award, and all of the story that goes behind attending the awards. But what I really loved was lots of our community came along who weren't even shortlisted. They came to support each other.
So lovely. We saw so many of you guys there. It was so lovely. Forgive us if we saw you and didn't, there's some faces and we're smiling at people, and I'm like, I'm sure I recognize them, but there's a lot of you in the community.
And when you're dressed differently, they can see you on your LinkedIn profile or in a Facebook group or in a small picture on Zoom. It's sometimes you're like, out of context, it's hard to put 2 and 2 together, isn't it?
It really is. It really is.
But we had a nice time spending lots of time with our community members. So like Nadia and Steph were there, who weren't up for awards. They were there just to support the community, wanted to be there. But of course, on the shortlist, really excited to spend time with Annabelle Barnes, who was shortlisted. Karen Kennedy, Libby Walklet, Catherine Freeman couldn't make it, but she was on the shortlist as well. All people who've worked with us through our programs and are really important members of our community.
Kirsty,
of course, and Kirsty as well. So it was really nice to see you all there. Of course, the big win for the evening was Karen Kennedy.
Oh my goodness. She did so well, and then she was on stage, won the award, was starting walking back, and everyone was congratulating her. And then I saw her it came up again for the Grand Prix of small business. Small firm.
So they do 3 regional awards. So there's a North Scotland, North of England, Northern Ireland, I think, maybe Wales, and Karen was in that
the top
region,
one.
and then there was like a southeast and maybe a south. God, this is really bad that I can't remember exactly, but it's hard when you've got all these random places like put together in a category. But then so she went up and got her award, and then she got announced as the overall
winner,
national winner
of the whole country. And the goosebumps seeing her and her team walk back up, it was just so magical. It was so
she
good.
had the whole team there as well, didn't she? And I could see how much it meant for the ladies in her team as well, and the guys in her team, just to like be holding those awards and be part of it. Because I can remember when we spoke to Karen before she started her practice, in those very early days, and she was working in her role at lockdown time. I can remember being on a call with her talking about, you can do this is what you're going to do. And just to have been there for all of that journey with her is really special. So well done, Karen. Really fab.
Really fab. And we are so blessed to have her as one of our ambassadors, so to support us in the Success Lounge as well. She really is someone that we can all be looking up to as like how to do it so well. We'd love, and she's just straight talking. Love her. And she looked amazing last night. So congratulations, Karen and the team.
And there were special mentions as well. I heard Annabelle Barnes got a special mention, like highly commended in her category, and Catherine Frimond as well. So like really doing amazing things in the bookkeeping space. Like this is just thinking back to what you said earlier, Jo, about how there wasn't a bookkeeping category. To now having like people who we see every day
and taking over like not just bookkeeping spaces, like firm spaces across everything. It's amazing.
Do you know what? That got me thinking. I know this isn't in our kind of list of things to talk about today, but it got me thinking about bookkeeping being a trend for the future. So we've been asked to do a couple of presentations. So we're going to Canada next month to speak at Accountex Canada, and we're talking about the trends in bookkeeping for next year. And spoiler alert, one of those trends is just bookkeeping is the thing. Like practices need to lead with bookkeeping.
And how many times did we get asked last night about from large firms? A couple of times as well, about large firms wanting some consultancy on how to make bookkeeping better in their practices.
But we also heard we are hearing other people in the industry saying bookkeeping can't be profitable. And I think we've got to call it out as it absolutely is, because you guys are here building profitable businesses with bookkeeping at the core, like starting with great bookkeeping. Because anything we do next, advisory, like the real trend for 2025, obviously we're being influenced by AI. That's going to change a lot of the way that the traditional work of the bookkeeper has been done. Like if you've got these automations in place, automatically your gross profit increases anyway on that service. So I definitely it's going to be even more profitable. But we need to be thinking about, okay, so what does that mean for the way that we run bookkeeping practices? Because what we're going to do now that we've got all this great data is actually crossing over with what the accountant has been allowed to do in the past. So I'm allowed in inverted commas, like we've always been allowed. It's just we haven't realized that we can. We're going to be able to offer way more services because we've got this great bookkeeping. So absolutely, like you can build a profitable business around bookkeeping. We've got amazing bookkeepers here who are changing the industry. So
it's exciting times.
It is an exciting time. So should we talk about judging and what to think about when you're entering awards?
Absolutely. So we laugh because sometimes we will look at awards, the same award entry, and look at it differently because, and this is the thing, you have multiple judges. Usually, the Accounting Excellence, I think there was 4.
I think we had 3 in marketing.
Okay. But you've got multiple. So you've got to, what we find is that someone that does a little bit of everything is likely to do good. Now, first things first, whenever I get an award entry, I've started putting it through like an AI checker. Because there's so much ChatGPT going on and you can tell it a mile off and it feels disingenuous and it feels not caring. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't utilize AI to help you think of ideas or areas to cover, but don't copy and paste it into the award entry. Second big thing, if you're going for multiple awards so you go for multiple categories in an award, don't copy and paste the same thing in each thing, because for some awards I have judged multiple categories, and I'm reading it, I'm like, I've just read this.
Yeah.
And you want someone to go for that award.
Yeah.
So that's another point. But for me, I am very much, I want a story. I want to be taken on a story, not a long story. I want it to be short, snappy. I love a video where I get to know the person behind the entry. I want to hear how things started, where they are now, what's changed for the person's life by it doing what they're doing. And then Zoe loves the stats and I love the stats, but I would be, if I had a video, I like to see someone's, it's evidence. So
Yeah.
I'm more like evidence. Now that can be through storytelling, but it's great if you see a little bit of like, here's my P&L, or here's the percentage growth, or something like that.
Yeah. I agree. I like to know how that all fits in, but I need to see the stats. And if the question's asked you for something, answer the question.
Answer the question.
Just answer. It's really simple. Like, it sounds so simple, but it seems to be really difficult for people to answer the question directly.
Yeah.
So I that's start there. Remember that judges, like you were reviewing some awards the other day and you had like 27 entries or something to review. So you need to know that the people judging this they don't do this for a job. They're doing this around all of the things that they do for a living, that in their spare time, as like we're volunteers as judges. So make it easy for people to read and find out whether you fit the criteria. And people generally, like, the human eye sort of skims left in a zigzag shape, sort of left to right. And the best thing for you to do is put some bullet points in, which we can scan down. So if you can introduce with a sentence, we did this, we have achieved this because and then here are the bullet points to set that out. That I think works really well.
Yeah. And not too many attachments.
No.
So I like a couple of attachments, but it also, sometimes people like link their website, which is fair enough, but I don't want to go and read someone's whole website. I'm
not going to read your website.
No,
send me
I'd like website. Screenshot of like, this is our client page or something. I don't know. You can see something.
Here's a case study page.
Yeah.
This is a client we've really had. One of those award categories last night was about transformation. So imagine if you were entering that category, client transformation, or there was another one about client service. Give a case study. Here is a client we worked with and they started here. This is what we did with them. Now they're here.
Yeah.
And this is what the client had to say. So that very clearly could demonstrate all of the answers to the question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, short, sweet, not too many attachments. I want it to be heartfelt. I want you to feel like you like what you're doing, or you love what you're doing, and you want to, and bullet points, short paragraphs, not an absolute tone of, right, because we've got a lot to get through. So punchy. So,
I think usually when I'm like, we tend to score things. So with the accounting excellence, for example, you get a list of questions. There's maybe 5 questions. There's like the name of the firm, a bit about you, and then there's the questions to answer that are scored. And there might be 5 of them, and what we get given is like, we score them out of 5. So what I'll do is I'll go through, and I've got, like, your 3 is average, right? Everyone in theory should be able to get a 3, but then there'll be some that are outstanding, and I can go and say, right, that's a 5 because I want to go back and I want to compare it to the others who are on that sort of high end. And there'll be, like, if there are big things missing or answers to questions aren't even there, they're going to be like, I'm really sorry, you just haven't, even though when you entered it, you were like, I feel like I should win this award because I've done great here. That isn't enough for me because I don't know what you're thinking. Yeah. So I need you to answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think I think some people overcomplicate it, and you can tell that with their answers, and they try and give you absolutely everything, but got to remember exactly that these judges are doing it as around their day job.
Yeah. We did a session for our mastermind community last week where we were talking about awards entries, and we were talking about like finding awards to enter. And if you want to find out more about how to, like, what to do in terms of personal brand, why entering awards is so important, what else can be part of your marketing strategy, we'd really invite you to come and find out more about the way we work with bookkeepers. We've got a free membership you can join by going to sixfigurebookkeeper.club. And you can also head to our website, sixfigurebookkeeper.com, to read a bit more about that, but also to find out about the Bookkeepers Collective, which is all of our programs brought together for you in one monthly subscription. Come and join us, work with us for the next 12 months, lock your price in today as well, and keep working with us in the future as we release more and more. But we really, as well as looking at the foundations of your business with our CPD accredited program, then looking at the growth of your business with a more advanced CPD program, we have collections that deep dive into topics like pricing, passive income is part of that as well. Sales,
personal brand
and marketing. Like, we really go into personal brand and marketing, and there's a lot in there around awards and how to make sure that your award entry stands out. So go and find out more about that at sixfigurebookkeeper.com.
You also get access to our Success Lounge that we was talking about, where all of these wonderful people that you've heard have were finalists last night, are members of the Success Lounge, where we do our live trainings and have a fantastic community of people all working through those programs and achieving great things. So we'd love to see you in there.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the podcast. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.